Hello everyone, this is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. Today I wanted to talk about what I learned about myself at Kinkfest. So this is going to be a little bit different than some of the other videos I've done on Kinkfest. If you're interested in learning more about the structure of Kinkfest and what it's like to be there, I will link to my previous video I did on that last year down below. And I also have some very exciting videos coming up where I will actually be showing you guys what Kinkfest looks like, which as far as I know, there's no videos like that on YouTube at all. I think Kinkfest itself only has like 5 publicly available pictures of what it looks like in general at all ever. So I'm really excited for that. But beyond just sort of having a new way of saying what I've talked about in previous years, I wanted to talk more about what I got out of my Kinkfest experience. Because while I do go to a lot of conventions, and I do take away a lot of hard skills, like learning a new rope tie, learning how to use medical staples, or learning about 87 different ways I can use floss during a scene, those are all great. But I find the things that really stay with me, the things that I find really memorable, the things that I honestly could not learn in any other way than that very particular situation, or that one thing that that one person said that I may have never thought of before, and having those kind of soft learning moments, let's say those kind of soft skills moments. And maybe it's only 2 minutes of discussion in one class, or maybe it's one comment from somebody in the audience that really just clicks and stays with me. And that's what I like about conventions, because yeah, I could have somebody instruct me on how to use medical staples. I could go to a yoga class and learn more about pain processing. But it was only in this one particular situation with this one person in this one class where I could have had that thought, where those stars just aligned, shall we say. And that was really what I went through at Kinkfest this year, more so than learning any hard skills, was those types of moments. And what happened in particular was, I think it was the second day of the conference, I took a class on pain processing. And I've taken classes on pain processing before. I've actually taken one at Kinkfest before, and I'm always interested in learning what other people have to say about it and what their experiences are, because I am a struggling masochist, as I like to say. So I'm always looking for new techniques that allow me to do more with pain. And honestly, the class itself was frankly a little bit disappointing, because there were technology issues, and then the conversation like did this and then went way off topic into just talking about how to like ask for scenes and negotiate, which was totally not the topic of the class at all. And then it was like 15 minutes at the very end of talking about what pain processing looks like, which is relax, breathe, practice yoga, which is like, great, I know about all of that stuff, but I don't know how to do it. But the very last thing that came up was not even something from the presenter, it was somebody in the audience. And they said something that has really helped me when I figured it out, just completely like changed my life, is that pain is resistance. And I was like, mind blown, like revolutionary thought there. Like I was like, whoa, this is like, it's painful. It's like, the idea is that it's sort of like, it's painful when you perceive it to be painful. If you like lean into it, you don't resist the pain, you allow yourself to just feel it. So blown away by just that thought. And maybe you guys think I'm crazy and are like, Evie, what the fuck does that mean? And I totally understand, because there were definitely some reactions like that in the audience too. That was a really salient point that I took away. And then the other thing that I really took away, besides the one that I've made a video on, which if you guys want to see that, it's talking about punishment and discipline. I'm not sure if it's going to be out before or after this one, but do check it out, because that's like my third big thought that I took away from Kinkfest. But the second one that I took away was in a class that I took from Shay and Stefanos, which they actually did a rope bondage class. It was called the triangle suspension, which they called very proudly crazy circus rope. So not like the true shibari type stuff. It was like, hey, here's how to do some crazy shit where your bottom can kind of just move however they want all over the place and still be safe. And while the concept of that was really interesting, again, what I took more away from that, rather than like the ties, was something that Shay said about when she does self-suspension. She has like a phrase that she says to herself when she is apparently doing a single funomomo and questioning all of her choices in life about having done a single funomomo. And her phrase that she uses is the human body habituates with repeated exposure. I don't remember that's the exact quote, but that was the general idea. And the idea behind this is that when you repeat something over and over again, when you continually expose yourself to something, eventually, it gets easier. Now, sometimes it's faster than others. Maybe it's 2 times and everything's like hunky-dory. Maybe it's 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times. But eventually, the more you practice something, the easier it gets. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but it is a very good mantra to have, because it is just a reminder that, hey, it's okay to like need practice at something. It's okay to not be okay with something in this moment, but be working towards it being better or feeling better or doing better. And I think that's important, really important to remember in kink, because I think for a lot of us, we just sort of expect us to be like, I don't like that, I'm not good at it, I'm never gonna try it again, it's not my thing, it's not my kink. Well, maybe if you try it a couple times, or with a different partner, or with a different energy, maybe you're gonna have a really different response. Or maybe something you really, really wanna do kind of sucks. Like maybe you really want to do this one particular style of rope bondage or this one particular harness, and your body's just like, oh, wears me out whenever I'm in this, it makes my shoulders hurt, but I really want to do it and it looks pretty, and otherwise it makes me feel good. Well, you just keep practicing it over and over and over again, maybe it gets a little bit easier. And both of those thoughts, coincidentally, kind of ended up in the same, kind of intersecting in the same place. Like, I basically had like a really interesting day on Saturday and had a very like intense, almost kind of, I don't want to oversell it, but sort of revolutionary experience on Saturday night. Because honestly, my energy level was all over the map at Kinkfest. I was going between feeling really excited and happy, and I was going between feeling really drained and down and feeling like I had no energy and all I wanted to do was be able to sleep. And God, I can't believe I have to go to 3 different social events. Why are you making me do this? Which, by the way, just want to note this. I met a lot of you guys, and I don't want anybody who is listening to this or watching this to think that I didn't enjoy meeting you because I was feeling low energy. I loved getting to meet you guys. I honestly was like really blown away. I was like, how? What? I was expecting like 2 people to recognize me, and there was a bunch of you who knew me, and you guys are so diverse and amazing and wonderful, and I can't believe that so many of you choose to watch my channel and support me and think that I do good work, so thank you. My complaint about going to social activities has nothing to do with meeting you guys. You guys were really one of the highlights of being at Kinkfest, was getting to say hi and like hug some of you guys and you know, put faces and names to some of the icons that I've been seeing commenting on my videos for years potentially. That was great, and I did have energy problems and I was kind of all over the place, and I think the best way I can describe it without getting too personal is at the dungeon that night we had certain scenes planned out that I wasn't really feeling like I super wanted to do, and basically what ended up happening is I fall back on this one particular phrase. That's a way of saying to my dominant, I'm trusting authority to you to be able to make the decision to pursue this. It's not something that I personally enjoy, but I'm willing to suffer for you because I care more about you being able to do something that you enjoy than I care about doing something that I don't enjoy. And I said that, and it ended up turning into this really long conversation with Mr. Tex about feeling like rather than being given authority, it feels more like just being coddled or being pitied, or like you're just going along with it and you don't really care, you're not enthusiastic about it, which makes me not feel enthusiastic about it either, and then I don't want to do it anymore, and then and it was basically just a big conversation about communication, and the relationship between Mr. Tex and I is not perfect, and so it's good to have those types of conversations, because I had no idea that using that phrase made him feel like he was just being humored, and that was a really sensitive thing for him, and that it was something that was affecting energy and made it difficult to have good scenes. And we had that conversation, and then branching out off of that conversation, we decided, like, well, kind of in light of this, maybe let's not do some of the scenes that we had planned. Like, what do we each mutually feel really enthusiastic about doing? And the night previous to that, we had done a little bit of an impact play scene that was mostly stingy, because I've kind of always just been like, oh, I like stingy more than I like thuddy, so let's do stingy. And I have a bunch of canes and paddles and stingy toys, and we were using that. But I noticed that what I enjoyed most during that scene was the thuddy type impact. He was actually punching me in the butt, because that happens. And he was punching me, and I was like, well, actually, the part of the scene that I really enjoyed from last night was the part where you were punching me. Can we do more of that type of impact? Because I'm really interested in seeing where that goes. And we had actually borrowed a bunch of toys from one of our friends whose bottoms really, really enjoy thuddy impact, because I don't have any toys like that. And I was like, well, let's try some things that we haven't tried before and just see how it goes, because you're feeling enthusiastic about it, so I want to do it, and I can be enthusiastic about you being enthusiastic about it, so let's do it. And we spent some time kind of decompressing from our conversation, and then we actually moved into doing the scene, and it was a really good scene. Like, I just kept saying to myself over and over again in my head that, like, pain is resistance, pain is resistance, pain is resistance, and just kind of focusing on just like relaxing my whole body as much as I could, because I was on this style of spanking horse where it's kind of like a little piece in the middle here, and on either side there's it's almost like a picnic bench, but like squished together, where there's a place where you can put down your hands and your legs on either side and be propped up in the middle. And because of that, I was completely supported, and I was able to completely relax, which allowed me to take a lot more pain than I have before, and a lot more intense pain, and pain that I had convinced myself for years that I did not like. Like, my entire time in BDSM, I'm a stingy person. I'm not a thuddy person. Hell, I think like 2 weeks ago, I made a video talking about the things that I enjoy in kink, and stuff about pain processing, where I talked about how I like sting and not thud. And here I was, completely fucking wrong about that. Like, kink is a process of continual evolution for this exact reason, and I'm so glad I took the chance to not only kind of take those little thoughts I had gotten from Kinkfest, along with listening to my intuition and listening rather than the idea of what I had in my head of what I liked, to the thing that my body was telling me that I liked. And taking that and putting it into a scene and allowing myself to have, frankly, one of the best experiences with pain that I've ever had. Like, of that particular type of sensation, I was able to take more pain and have a longer scene with pain than I think I've had in a very, very long time. Which is not to say that I completely don't like sting. I just really, really enjoyed this one type of thuddy pain. And like I talked about in my types of pain video, that video was not extensive. That was not a complete list. And everybody has a slightly different way that they perceive different types of pain. And something that I realized was that the implement and the material was more important than was more important to my understanding of what thud felt like than I had realized it was, and the type of thud that I liked. Because there's actually sort of two different types of thud. There's thud that's rigid, and there's thud that's mobile. So a mobile thud would be something like a heavy flogger, or kind of like a whippy baton that's maybe made out of a heavy rubber, or something along those lines. Something where there's flexibility to the impact, as opposed to something like being punched with weighted mitts, or a firm baton, or a bat even. Those are pains where, though it is also thuddy, it's rigid. And those two differences, mobile versus rigid, made such a huge difference. Like, my only previous experience with thud that I had, or what I had been told that thud was involving toys that had mobility to them. So they had movement to them, and that was what made me feel really bad. Whereas when it was rigid and I could feel the impact and feel it stop, that was so much better. And also, it was, I think, also partly because it was more direct and more concentrated. Because like with a flogger, with like a heavy mop flogger, or with most floggers in general, it's taking up a lot of space, and it can make you feel like the air is getting knocked out of you. But with something like a baton, it's thuddy and firm, but it's also really concentrated. And it just made a really big difference for me. And it allowed me to have a really great experience with pain. And I'm so grateful I got to have that experience. But I wouldn't have been able to have it if, one, I wouldn't have gone to Kinkfest. Two, if I wouldn't have taken those classes that kind of primed my brain for thinking more about pain play and thinking about impact play. And 3, if I wouldn't have had that conversation with Mr. Tex. And after I had that scene, my energy completely changed. Like, for the rest of the event, I went from feeling kind of like halfway between feeling like I was about to fall asleep and feeling angry and frustrated and feeling like I had energy to feeling a very normal state of myself, like feeling like I was fulfilled and happy to be there, and that my relationship was growing, and that I was progressing. I wasn't tired, I wasn't angry, I wasn't frustrated. I was just feeling happy and positive. And maybe I can crack that up to like the post-scene giggles and highs, but it lasted for the rest of the event. So I don't think it was just that. I don't think it was just the adrenaline rush. But that's basically what I learned at Kinkfest. I learned about myself, and I learned more about my submission, and I learned more about my masochism. And I'm really excited to talk more about pain now that I've had this experience, and talking more about pain processing, because I think I'm finally ready to make that video, and I think I'm finally ready to talk more that I have positive experience. And I'm just so excited to be able to go to more parties, because now my local dungeon is finally reopening, and it's gonna be good times, people. So in summary, what I would say is that don't close yourself off from experiences. Like, don't put yourself in a box too hard. Like, if you're like, I'm a stinky person, I'm a thuddy person. If you find yourself in a situation where you have an implement that has some thud to it and you enjoy that element, maybe pursue it a little bit further. Listen not only to the hard content of the class, which is to say the hard skills content of the class, like how to put a staple in somebody or how to swing a flogger. Listen to those little soft teachable moments, those little inklings of genius, let's say, because a lot of times those can even be more valuable than the skills you learn in the class itself. So that's all I wanted to share today. Let me know what you guys think. This is definitely a more personal video, and I'm excited to talk more about these types of things. So let me know if you have any comments, questions, etc. down in the comment section below. Links to related videos down in the description. If you haven't already and you like this video and you want to learn more about BDSM, please do subscribe. I make videos twice a week. And if you really liked this video, please do consider supporting my channel on Patreon. That's what makes me able to do things like go to events and meet you guys. That is what allows me to make videos like this. And I also have a bunch of exclusive content up there, exclusive videos and chats and all of that stuff, so please check that out if you haven't already. Thank you so much if you do already support me. I really appreciate it. And until I see you guys next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye bye.